Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Johnny's Ambassadors. I'm Laura Stack, the founder and CEO of Johnny's Ambassadors. Happy 2024 Stop Dabbing Day. We are thrilled to celebrate this anti-THC holiday every year where we come together and we talk about how to prevent THC use in youth. And today we have a very special instructor to introduce to you who is going to encourage us all to live a THC-free lifestyle. We are recording this session, and everyone who is registered, whether you attend or not, will automatically get a copy of the recording. Hannah is going to present for about 45 minutes, and then she is going to take your questions. So in your control panel, there is a box that says questions. If you can't find the control panel, it's down in your system tray. It looks like a little blue flower or a little yellow flower. So as you think of questions, please type them into the question box, because at the end, I'm going to come back on with Hannah and read her your questions. So if you want to know from a perspective of a young, up-and-coming 22-year-old professional, please give her your questions at the end. All right. With that, I am so thrilled to introduce certified Johnny's Ambassadors trainer, Hannah Palmer, who is a passionate drug-free advocate committed to promoting healthy lifestyles and supporting young people in their choice to live free from drugs. Her main focus is on addressing the increasing use of THC and promoting a clear and accurate understanding of its effects. In pursuing a career in drug prevention, Hannah earned a degree in criminal justice with a minor in political science from Olivet Nazarene University, and she's worked in several prevention roles, including with Smart Approaches to Marijuana and the Drug Enforcement Administration. Hannah is currently employed at Northern Illinois Recovery Center, where she plays a pivotal role in supporting clients through their journey of recovery. Hannah, I am so thrilled to have you here for our annual Stop Dabbing Day. Welcome to Johnny's Ambassadors.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Laura, for having me. I am nothing but honored to be here, and just given, I'm thinking my slides went away.
Yep, there they come.
Okay, sorry about that. We're back. But anyway, I am just so honored to be here, and just thankful for this opportunity to speak in this platform. So again, I'm Hannah Palmer, certified Johnny's Ambassadors trainer, and I am glad to be THC free, and I'm excited to share with you why. So to get started, Laura already talked a little bit just about my professional past, but I want to talk to you a little bit more where this passion stems from. So I feel like I was kind of born this way. I've always kind of been passionate about being drug free, but throughout high school and college, that passion grew as I saw the firsthand effects that marijuana had on loved ones and they're just very close friends of mine. I saw how the industry really pulled them in and how it kind of became their number one thing. And yeah, during all that time, I felt pretty much two things. I felt helpless and I felt alone. And I felt helpless because I wanted nothing but to help them. I did research. I learned about what was going on in their body and the side effects. And I felt like I was there loving and supporting them, but there wasn't enough that I could do. And yeah, I just really struggled with that. And then I also felt alone because I had felt that I was the only one not smoking. And I learned pretty quickly that both of these were very far from the truth. First off, I was not alone. There were so many people out there loving and supporting me and that had my back. And I met them through networking and just like the support system I kind of built around me. So yeah, through my networking, I met people that were kind of dealing with the same things that I was. They had loved ones going through similar things, and I relied on them a lot just to share each other's story and work through it together. And then again, I also realized that the things that I was doing to help the people around me truly did make a difference. Even though sometimes I didn't find out till years later. But I did have some friends come back to me and just thank me for standing up for this, and just being a role model of what living THC free looked like, because it helped them realize that they did have a problem in their own life and eventually quit. Also on this slide to the right, I just wanted to provide some pictures of kind of my outlet. I use sports as my outlet, and I play tennis and soccer in college, and then I do sport activities on the lake during the summer. So let's get going into the agenda. So to start off, we're gonna go over choosing to be THC free and what that looks like. And through that section, we're gonna go over some facts and then finding your why. Then we're gonna talk about standing strong and learning refusal skills. So this is remembering your why, and then also just learning how to get out of tricky situations. And then finding your support system, which is just so incredibly important. And just talking about who you surround yourself with is who you're gonna be like. And then we're gonna get into building your network and influencing others. So this is gonna be using your why to drive you forward. And then lastly, we're gonna end with a Q&A. So as I said, we're gonna get rolling with setting the foundation on choosing to be THC free. So when I was working through this and kind of figuring out what I wanted to say, I decided to think back about common questions and myths that are brought up to me all the time. It seems like when people find out that I'm passionate about this topic or kind of working in this field, they immediately are like just drilling me with questions, which is totally fine. But I've failed to be prepared for them sometimes, and I know other people go through the same thing. So I kind of did a deep dive and kind of sought out for what I see to be true, and I wanted to pass that along to you guys. All right, so to start off, this is probably the one I get most often, and I'm sure you've heard it too. Well, marijuana is better for you than alcohol. I personally do not love getting this brought up to me just because like two things can both be bad. If one is worse than the other, that doesn't just mean the other one isn't bad anymore. So again, I don't love going over this, but because it is something brought up a lot, I want to talk about it. So there is a doctor in California, his name's Dr. Amen, and he looks at the actual brain and does tons of brain scans. And one thing that he found was that when he looked over 62,000 brain scans, he found that marijuana actually accelerates aging more significantly than alcohol. And just like going off of that, marijuana and alcohol, they work differently in your system. For example, if you're doing a drug screening, meaning you're peeing in a cup, marijuana, it can stay in your system for up to 30 days, whereas alcohol usually flushes out within 1 to 3 days. So again, they work a little differently. Don't love the question, but it's prominent, so we're going to talk about it a little bit. So then just let's think about it for a minute. We have alcohol. It's legal. It's everywhere. It's in all the stores you go to. It's easy to find, and there is about 14.7 million daily users. And then we have marijuana. It's legal in 24 states, and it already has surpassed daily users of alcohol by 17.7 million daily users. So I think like right off the bat, those statistics kind of raise concern. One of them is legal in less than half the states, but already has more daily users. And it just shows that the marijuana industry is pulling people in, and it's pulling people in to stay. There was a study done, and it found that about 40% of current cannabis users are using it daily or near daily. So again, it just shows that people that are going in to use and to buy, they're going back again and again, and it's really hooking people. All right, so now we're gonna move on to another one. It's just medicine. So no. There are no studies today that indicate high potency marijuana products are healthy for the youth. And high potency, anything above 10%, which is pretty much everything from wax, dabs, vapes, anything you can think of. And to be clear, the FDA hasn't approved any dispensary THC products as medicine. Going off of that, another one is it's just a plant. Well, this is a stat that I learned probably a year ago, and it kind of stuck with me. There's an estimated 350,000 known plant species on our planet, and only 30,000 of those are known to be edible, meaning the majority of the plant species that are known are toxic to the human body. One example that I have on the screen is poison ivy. So I think that's just like a good thing to think about when people say it's just a plant. Well, most plants are toxic. This is, again, another big one, and it's that, well, successful people smoke. And I totally hear that. Like, I get it. You can look at people and they could be successful and wealthy and advertise smoking. But the problem with this is that success and wealth does not equal happy and fulfilled. And again, just because some people got away with it does not mean that everyone will. I feel like a good thing to look at is Hollywood actors. A lot of them are very open about being in recovery. And a lot of them talk about how when they would be at their most successful, they were at their lowest point mentally. And it's just like a good thing to think back on. And again, there is a study done and it showed that adolescents who use at least once a week for a 2-year period were 6 times more likely to drop out of high school and 3 times less likely to go to college. So, I mean, the studies show what is true. And in this case, I think the question needs to be more who would be successful today if it wasn't for being pulled in to the marijuana industry's lies and using and turn their life around. And to back off of that, research actually found that heavy marijuana use in adolescence predicts an 8-point drop in IQ. And if you're someone like me, I was not really taught about IQ in school, but to put it on a scale, when I was that age in school, it would be an A student going down to a C. So that is a huge change and one that definitely should be noted. Okay, again, people do not believe that it is a gateway drug, but the #1 predictor that teens have abused opioids in the past 30 days is whether they have ever used marijuana in their lifetime. And again, the problem is people, if they say you use marijuana and you like the way it makes you feel, and then you're like, okay, like I'm not getting that high anymore, I want to move on to something else. And that's exactly how it works. Again, another one I get all the time. You have never done it, you would not know. And I just don't believe that I have to try something to understand that it's not good for me. Like, you can look into it and you can see that the risks aren't worth it and choose not to use it. And I think that goes for anything. Like, there's different drugs that we can all agree, no, we're not doing that the vast majority of people are not going to try. So I think I can use that same mentality going towards anything else. And in this case, going through the risks, it's not worth it for me. All right, so now we're going to segue a little bit into mental health myths. And again, I think the marijuana industry, it advertises itself as an end-all be-all. And it kind of makes all these empty promises that are short-term fixes for a lifetime of problems. And we're just going to dive into it a little bit. Okay, so a big one, it makes me feel better. Again, a lot of people are going to be saying this, and studies show that, again, it can make you feel better for a little bit, but it is a short-term fix for a lifetime of problems. As you can see on the bottom, it's known to double the risk of depression, and it's been shown to actually lower levels of life satisfaction. And yeah, so like, again, short-term, maybe it's okay, but long-term, you're looking at some severe consequences. Another one is, well, it helps my anxiety. And this is something that is promised by the dispensaries. You can walk in and they can tell you a million different things like, oh, it's going to help with this, it's going to help with this. But studies show that it's really not the case. As you can see in these studies here, it's actually shown to make anxiety worse in some people and affect them more in the long term. And on the bottom, a lot of people choose to use to help them chill out before a party. And the problem with that is in people that are anxious, it makes their social phobia worse. So by smoking it, you might get to that party and be like, oh no, it didn't work. And then you start smoking more, and it is only making that problem worse. Last one on this section is just, it helps me chill out. And one thing I want to really point out is about sleep, because that is something that is brought up to me a lot. And the thing is, marijuana, it is not helping your body totally reset and sleep better. It's actually shown to make insomnia worse and just your sleep problems worse in the long term. And again, with ADHD, it's also shown to make your symptoms worse in the long term. So the problem is a lot of the side effects are shown later. And people, they are looking for like instant gratification. They want to feel better now without thinking about what's coming next. And that's where it gets a little tricky, because it's hard to convince someone that they try something and they have a positive experience on how it's going to actually be affecting and working in their body. So that's why education is so important. Okay, so now we're going to get into a touchy subject, marijuana and suicide. To start off, I want to talk about Colorado. Colorado was the first state to legalize marijuana. And in Colorado, the #1 cause of death in youths aged 10 to 18 is suicide. And what's found in their toxicology report? THC in over 40%. And just to bring it kind of closer to my home, in McHenry County, and that's where I work, in 2022, suicide rates doubled. #1 drug found in the toxicology report was THC. And again, in 2022, that was the year after marijuana was legalized. There's also studies out there that show marijuana use can triple your risk of suicide. So just to wrap up this section, I just want to say that your life is so valuable. Life is precious, and I want people to be aware of the risks between marijuana and suicide, because there's so many people out there that have no idea that this is a thing. And through my experience and the people I've met, it is a very real thing. And people just need to be aware of it, because again, your life is so valuable. I do not want anything to happen to you. So now we're going to get into psychosis and schizophrenia. Psychosis is symptoms of delusional thinking, paranoia, or hallucinations. And examples of this could be thinking that your phone's tapped, thinking that people are after you, thinking that the FBI is trying to catch you. It can be anything like that, usually very panicky. It makes you panicky. Schizophrenia, you're going to have symptoms of that, but it is a mental disorder including mood symptoms. So now we're going to relate it all to marijuana. Recent research suggests that high potency marijuana could nearly can increase your chance of 5 times developing psychosis. So putting you at a greater risk by 5 times is huge, because psychosis, I mean, that is such an intense experience. And again, like the people that I've talked to that have gone through this, it is something nobody wants to go through. And the thing is, if you develop psychosis, it's not like it just like automatically goes away in like an hour. For some people, it can last a very long time. I've met people, it's lasted a few days, a few months, a few years, and some people, they're still dealing with it. And I just think that's something that people really need to take seriously, because all it takes is like one time and it can switch you. And now on the schizophrenia side, so this study is very interesting because it was done in Denmark. And the thing about Denmark is it has a national healthcare registry of 7 million people. So they can look at a huge database to get their data. And it looked at cannabis use disorder diagnosis and a schizophrenia diagnosis. And what they saw was it went from 2% to 8% after cannabis use went up with the potency levels. So I think that in itself kind of speaks to the tie to schizophrenia, and that is something that should also be taken very seriously because it is such a debilitating mental health disorder. Okay, so now we're going to move into this one. Again, a very common thing that was said to me my whole life, and it was, I only do it with my friends once in a while, it's not a problem. And a lot of times it was being said to me trying to get me to go along with it and do it myself. And to start off, I want to just go over this study, and it showed that pure drug use can exacerbate the using with your friends can exacerbate the progression from experimental to regular use with a significant risk of addiction. So that there just shows like you can move along that pathway very quickly. You move from experimental, and then all of a sudden you're like start using it more with your friends. It turns into a regular thing. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to start using it by myself, and then you're addicted. And below that, you can see that in the US, dependence on marijuana has increased more than the dependence on any other drug, reiterating that the marijuana industry is pulling you in and they're pulling you in to stay. And unfortunately, a vast majority of those people that they're pulling in are the youth, because they're targeting kids because they know that they are vulnerable. There was a study done, and it showed that teens that were using in their adolescence had 1 in 6 of them would become addicted, and 1 in 3 would become addicted if they were using daily. So then to segue into addiction, 1 in 4 Americans who began using substances before age 18 have an addiction today. So this just shows that it is very important to teach kids about what it's doing to their body. If we can educate kids and try to offset if they're going to use, offset it as far as possible, the side effects are going to be less, and there's a less chance that they're going to be addicted. Education is just such a big role. So just to like dive into that a little bit deeper, I wanted to give you a visual on teen brains. So we have a 15-year-old brain on one side and a 21-year-old brain on the other side. And you can see that both of them are still developing. You can see on the scale at the top, the colors, it shows clearly that the brain is still growing and it's in a very vulnerable state. It's shown for females to grow up until about 25 and males to 30. And again, those numbers, they are changing. So how THC works is you can see THC is at the bottom, that buildup, and it's very similar to a molecule that's already found in our brain, anandamide. And when THC enters, it actually clicks onto the same receptor as anandamide, making your anandamide levels go down. So imagine like the adolescent brain, it's still growing. It starts to hardwire thinking that THC is supposed to be in the brain and your anandamide levels are dropping. Now, anandamide, it gives you that natural high. So when you go on a run, that's when your anandamide kicks in and it makes you like feel good. The problem is, once again, THC replaces that, drops those levels, and when you're a teen, your brain gets hardwired that way, causing issues in the future. And then just to continue talking about the brain, this is a study done, and it was performed on about 800 youth, and they took brain images from 14 years old to 19 years old. And what they found out was that between those years, the teens that were using marijuana, they had a thinner prefrontal cortex. So the prefrontal cortex, the key functions are going to be decision making, thinking, memory, all things like that, planning. So when it's thinner, all those key functions start to decrease. It becomes harder to do all of those things. And when you're doing it in adolescence and your brain is getting hardwired that way, it remains throughout your life. That's why it's so important to stop or to not use, especially when the brain's still developing, because it's giving your brain time to heal and rework itself until it's fully developed. So now that you have the facts, I know that was a lot, and I'm sorry, but I wanted to really set up a foundation, try to find it at all angles, just to give you guys a clear understanding of the knowledge that I saw to be very helpful, and give you a little bit more background. So yeah, now that we have the facts, we need the why. And for me, I think the why is the most important, because people are going to ask you why you care or why you're choosing not to use. And for me personally, my why is that I want people to experience lives that are joyful, healthy, and truly fulfilling without relying on THC to get there. And the missing piece of that is prevention and education. For me, in my like, I had a little bit of a DARE program, but not really. And there's just really nothing there that is shown to work and be beneficial. And that's why I think we need to do better about educating our teens on what's happening in their bodies, so they know there's a big risk. So my encouragement to you is to find your why. All right, so now we're going to move along a little bit, that we've established the first part, and we're going to learn how to stay strong in your why and learn those refusal skills. So remembering your why and not losing yourself throughout all of it. Okay, so I love this quote. It's from Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." And I love this quote because I saw it to be true in my own life. There was a time when I was so fired up about this and I had no problem speaking my truth. And I mean, I'm happy I was that way. I definitely learned from it and learned I need to come at it from a different approach, but I got backlash from it and I started to become super quiet about the topic. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. And I kind of just like pushed it aside for a few years. I would talk to people that were in my network about it and that were on the same page for sure, but I wasn't reaching out to the people that I needed to reach out to. So during that time that's when I felt the least like myself, because I knew this passion was put in me for a reason and I was doing nothing about it. So now that I'm like back at it, I'm talking more about it, I just feel so much better because I feel like I'm really I'm fulfilling my purpose. So again, that is my encouragement to you, is to not be quiet about things that you care about. And now we're going to go into getting out of those tricky situations. And this comes down to remembering the 3 S's. So first off, you're going to want to state your reason. And the first thing that's listed is my parents drug test me, and you can use your parents as an out, no problem. Just like leave it at home. And one thing that I would use is, I was an athlete, so I would say things like, I have a huge game coming up. I don't want to do anything to my body. I need to be on my A game. And or you like, there's a lot of reasons there. It's not worth it. I don't want to harm my brain. There's too many risks that come along with this. Then this is my favorite one. It's to suggest something else. And we're going to get into that a little bit more on the next slide, but there are so many other things that you can do with friends that don't revolve changing your state of mind, and that could actually benefit you guys together. And that's where real connection grows. So that looks like offering something else. For me, I always carry a deck of cards in my fanny pack, and it might like seem a little crazy, but it is such an easy way to connect with people. Like if I go out to coffee with someone and we're chit-chatting, I'll be like, why don't we play a game? Let's make some new friends. We can all play a game. And it's such an easy way to build community. And then lastly, sticking to your boundaries. So if they keep pressing you with this, I mean, personally, I would leave, because they're not showing you the respect that you deserve. But again, you can just say things like, seriously, I don't want it, enough of this. Just really stick to your ground on that. And this is what I was talking about, suggesting something else. And drug-free does not equal boring. I find joy in so many other activities. So I put some out here for you guys. I love the picture of the kids laughing, because I think laughter is the best drug. It automatically, like, just by laughing, you just feel so good. And there's just so many things that you can find to be happy about. And then just other pictures, sports, concerts, going to coffee, being with loved ones, travel, whatever you can find. There's so many things out there, one thing that I've been getting into recently is getting out and spending time in nature. Literally, it takes nothing. I'll wake up and I'll walk outside and just try to let my body reset. Going by the water, swimming if you have that available to you, just finding things that work for you. All right, so now we're going to get into finding your support system. I'm a big believer in that you are who you surround yourself with, and it is so important to have people that will help you grow. So this is a picture that has been very impactful for me. I honestly keep this in the back of my head all the time because it shows how your environment can affect you. You see one strawberry that is so healthy, doing well, but it's next to something else that is the opposite, and it's rubbing off on the perfect strawberry. And I think this goes into your own life. If you are constantly with people that are using THC, you're going to start using it with them. That's just kind of how it works, because it's going to start rubbing off on it. You're going to see them with it. You're going to be like, okay, this is not big of a deal. I'm going to use it. And then all the risks that you know about are not going to matter. So this just shows how important it is to really find that support system, people that you can rely on that are not going to pressure you to do anything you don't want to do. So nearly 1 in 3 12th graders reported using marijuana in the previous year. This is, I mean, I obviously don't like this number. It's way too high, but my hope for you is that you need to find the 2/3. That means there's over 60% of people that are out there that have not used at all in the year. You can go out and find them, build community with them, and encourage the other 1/3 to join you guys. All right, so now we're going to get into who builds our support system. And when making this list, at first I just wanted to list like tons of random people. And I realized there wasn't a lot of benefit in that, because what we need to do is look at characteristics over title. You need to find people that are trustworthy, people that you can come to with anything and know they're not going to go and tell other people, people that make you feel comfortable, that you can be your authentic self around, people that are loving and supportive, that welcome you with open arms regardless of anything else. And examples of these could be family, friends, teachers, people at your church, people in clubs. Literally, it could be anyone. For me in high school, I had my mom's friend. She was my go-to for everything. And I would go to her house after school a lot. I would just walk right in and be like, Becky, I need to talk to you. I need your help. And every time she would welcome you with open arms. And if it wasn't for her, I would not be where I am today, because just having that person that I could go to and was literally right there where I needed her, right out of school, it was just perfect. So again, you can build the support system you're looking for. You just have to, you're going to find what you're looking for. And a really good analogy I love is, I'll walk you through it. So say I go to the grocery store right now and I get there and you are like, oh, how many red cars did you pass? I would literally have no idea. But say before I left, you were like, oh, tell me how many red cars you see when you get there. And I drive, I would know exactly how many red cars there were. So that kind of goes for life. You're going to find what you're looking for. If you wake up every day and you're looking for opportunity, you're looking for ways to grow, you're looking for new friends and people that are going to support you, you are going to find them. It may take time, but it will happen, I promise you. All right, so now getting into like our final section here, and it's going to be about building your network and influencing others. And this is using your why to drive you forward. Okay, so there's a few different ways that you can use your why to drive you forward. And first off, you can, I mean, obviously I know not everyone is passionate about this topic. They don't feel the need to go out and talk about it. And I get it. If that's where you're at there, that's totally okay. Everyone's on a different journey, and sometimes actions speak loud. So if you're just saying, okay, like I love what you're saying, but I'm just going to choose not to use, that's totally fine, because other people will see that and they'll admire that. But if you do want to keep going with this, there is stuff right in front of you, and that looks like influencing those around you. And then also right around the corner, and that comes in with building your network. How can you grow? Where can you go? And we're going to dive into that a little deeper now. So talking about influencing others, I made this little chart just so I can walk you through the steps. So my why, it comes down to wanting people to see the value in their life, seeing the potential they have, and just all the amazing things that they can do. But you have to understand that everyone is at a different place. Everyone sees themselves differently, and they might not be at the same place as you. So it comes down to meeting them where they're at. You never want to judge anyone. When you're like influencing others and you're talking to people about this stuff, and say there are people using, obviously you don't want to judge them at all, because then they're not going to want to talk to you about anything. You need to welcome them with open arms. And again, meet them where they're at, but don't leave them there. Try to guide them and be a support system to them, because everyone has their own struggles, and everyone, if they are using, they're using for different reasons. And we just need to do our best to support them. And then if they're not using, just give them the resources and the tools they need to continue that journey and live a drug-free life. This is a quote that I love because it is so applicable in life. If you wish to be understood, first seek to understand. And this goes for anyone. If I went up to someone and just started like rambling to them, they're not going to be receptive of what I have to say. But if I go to them and I truly want to understand where they're coming from, their experiences, their background, and then I share with them kind of how I feel, that conversation is going to go a lot better, because then you're going to really understand like more about that person, and then hopefully they'll understand a little bit more about where you're coming from. With that being said, you have to value human connection without losing yourself. So if you are around people that are using a lot and you're trying to do your best to support them, that's where your support system is so important, because you need people that you can go back to that are going to ground you and remind you that you're doing the right thing, you're not using, and just kind of like help you grow and help you support others, and stay true to you. Okay, so now building your network. So I like kind of laid it out a little bit so you can start small and just keep growing bigger. And that's kind of what I did. So it starts in your circle, like I said, friends, family, colleagues, classmates, teammates. It could really be anyone that you see every day. And it can just be like a friendly conversation if it comes up naturally. And yeah, just start out that way. And then moving up to your school, clubs, sports, classes. For me in school, I had Students for Good Choices, and I became the president of that. And it kind of gave me a platform to promote drug-free living. And again, that was a point where I was very vocal about it, a little too vocal at points. But again, we learn, we grow, and we get better. And then again, like sports, that is a great way if you're in a sport, kind of guiding other people to like be healthy and be them best selves. And then in classes, in your classroom discussion, if it comes up, just sharing your background and what you see, and yeah, leading it that way. Then the next step would be your community. There's so many resources out there if you look for them. I know there's a lot of coalitions. I have one in my community. There's different clubs. I know the Elks, they do some stuff in drug prevention work. Some events, some people do not like nonprofit events where they are promoting drug-free living or overdose awareness, stuff like that. And those are great ways to get involved. And then statewide, different initiatives going on, what's happening in your state. I know on like government websites, your state website, like mine's Wisconsin, so wisconsin.gov, you can find the health department and kind of just do some research, see what's going on. And then even talking to like your representative and just say, hey, like, is there any drug prevention resources in schools, and how can I get them? What can I do? And then lastly is going to be nationally. This is just growing as far as you can possibly go. And there are so many amazing people out there that you can meet. And I got to experience this firsthand. I got to learn so much from reaching out to people online. And they taught me about the firsthand effects that they saw of this drug, what their family members went through. And that for me, that's where I kind of grew the most, because I really got to understand people and what this was doing to their lives, other than like my own experience. And I believe it's on one of the end slides, but Johnny's ambassadors and Laura, just amazing. Laura's amazing. I feel so lucky to have gotten connected to her. It was just like divine intervention. I reached out to her because she wrote an amazing book, and she then just published another one. And I reached out to her and said, oh my gosh, like, you are incredible. I want to meet. and she happened to be in my town like within the next few weeks. So we met, and she's been nothing but amazing. And Johnny's Ambassadors, you can look at the links on the last slide, but there's so many ways to get involved. And there's a community out there where you can connect with other people that are living THC-free lives. And I highly recommend that you do that, because I joined and it's been so beneficial for me. So this is my last slide, and I want to end on this. And this was something said to me, and I always keep it in the back of my head, and it's to take advice from people who are where you want to be. And this is really how I've grown. I go to people that are in positions that I'm like, wow, this is incredible. And I ask them questions. I ask them the important questions on how to better myself, because that's where true growth is made. If you go to people that are doing something totally different, you're like, oh, they're not in a great place, and you're going to them for advice, the advice they're giving you is relevant to where they're at now. So that is why I say I encourage you to go to other people. And again, I already brought up Laura, but I've been asking her millions of questions, and I feel like I've already learned so much. And yeah, so just to wrap it up, here is that slide I was talking about. Scan the QR code, look on the website, and then on the bottom left, you can reach out to Laura to talk about bringing me into a school or getting to meet you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna turn it over to Laura for questions. But again, thank you so much. This was just a dream come true.
Oh, Hannah, you are so wonderful. I did not even know you were going to be talking about me, so I'm just honored. I totally was divine intervention. I mean, I think it was Conca. I think I was exhibiting at the conference, and there you were. So you came out and met, and I love your passion and your enthusiasm and your knowledge, and so excited to be introducing you to our schools and getting you in. It's just, you have obviously a very different vibe at your age than my age, but I know you're going to do just so well in this field and encourage so many people, and that was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For sharing all of that. Wow, you have learned a ton of science. So I'm curious, and you do have questions.
Okay.
What has your new role in the recovery treatment center taught you so far? I mean, I know you've started recently, but what are people expressing as you're trying to help them through their journeys and to stay in recovery? Do you see a lot of THC use? What do people say is hardest about it? What have you seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, it has honestly been an amazing experience. Like, I love my job. I love where I'm at. The people I work with are amazing. They have huge hearts. And yeah, I mean, there is a lot of THC. Like, people will tell you it's not addictive, but a lot of people are in there to get help for their addiction of marijuana. And
Okay.
even like, yeah, hearing their stories, like, my heart just goes out to them, because again, they're promised all these empty truths. They're told like, oh, this is going to help with this is going to make you feel so good, and the next thing you know, they're hooked. And even like people that like I'm friends with, I had a friend, and it was the hardest thing for her to quit. Like, she had gone on to other things, but when it came down to it, it was the marijuana that was the hardest for her to let go of, because it is like such a social thing at this point, and
Yeah.
it's people that idea. And yeah.
I hear that a lot, that, even compared to other, quote, harder drugs,
Right.
it's just hard. And we tell people this is a hard drug,
Yeah.
the potency, you take a dab, it's like 50 joints from when I was a kid. I mean, I'm old. You're so much younger. I mean, you've
Yeah.
never been around where, we didn't have vapes and dabs and gummies and all these products, not to mention Delta 8, 10, 11, THCA, all these crazy products. And so people your age, I find in talking to the teens, often don't have any context.
Right. And it's crazy to think about how, I mean, the average THC before the 2000s, you're talking like 3 to 5% maybe. And now on average, it's more than 15 to 30%. So
Yeah.
even like that is such
Just a plant. Yeah.
right. So like, it's just like so clear that it's causing all these issues, and it's hooking people so quick.
Yeah. Wow. That's really important to understand, because it's not been legal there for very long, right? Where you live. And The
Yeah,
average potency in Colorado dispensary for concentrates is 60%, but they have 80, 90, crystallines 99%. And I love your point about there are no FDA approved products that are dispensary products. There's no study that shows these products are beneficial. I thought that was a really important point.
yeah. And the products the dispensaries are putting out are just absurd. And even I meant to mention on my alcohol slide too, they're starting to make the two combined. They're giving out alcohol and marijuana, or what is it, marijuana infused alcohol. And
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, they just keep taking
Or
it
THC
further.
infused, psilocybin chocolate bars.
Right,
It's like, okay, on its own, it's bad, and now we're going to mix it with other things.
right.
Insane. Okay, questions. Have you connected with Patrick Kennedy, McHenry County State's attorney,
Oh,
and his efforts to improve safety in the Illinois cannabis industry? What
yes,
about that?
yeah. I have connected with him.
Awesome. Do you like that work? Like, it always seems, I've been in this, 4 years. I started Johnny's Ambassadors in May of 2020, and it always seems like there's a focus in, we're in prevention education, and then other people are in policy and kind of the legislative arm, and then other people really like to get in more to, recovery, treatment, intervention, where other people are like into lawsuits. I mean, there's just so many places where you can really make an impact. And so it's tricky because, I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to do, and it's really hard for me to be like, okay, my board has a charter that I've been given, where do you find your passion is? Are you enjoying recovery, like prevention? Are you interested in policy? Like, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am interested in it all, which is like tough, but I want to be as well-rounded as possible. So as much experience as I can get, because I think, I mean, just talking about working in recovery, like it's given me such an amazing perspective on things, and just like, again, like the hold that this drug can have on people. And without working there, like I wouldn't have that experience as much as I do now. And I mean, that goes for anything. And I love prevention because I think it's missing. Like it's that missing piece because people just truly don't know. There's so many parents and kids out there that have no idea what this can do to the developing brain. And yeah, I think like that is, again, like a huge passion of mine, just because like in high school, like I really realized that was missing. And yeah, but again, like Patrick is doing amazing work in Illinois, and people that are interested in that should for sure get into it because it is really cool. And I mean, everything matters. Anything that people do.
It takes all of us, in all of our various focuses to really come at this from different angles and find solutions.
Yeah.
I love that. And I kind of feeling you kind of were really, I mean, prevention, especially when you love talking and connecting with teens like I do, I would ask my own kids, did you ever have anything in school? And they were like, we never had any marijuana education. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the first place it was legalized, and there was just nothing for them there. And, having teens come up to you, and I know, you've got your first Johnny's Ambassadors program here coming up, afterward, when they come up and hug you, people are always stunned, that I'll get 100 hugs afterward because they're like, oh, they're not very touchy-feely. I'm like, what? They're so loving and sweet, and they say all the time, I'm so sorry about Johnny, but mostly what they say is, I had no idea, and I really liked your talk. That's like one of the biggest compliments I think you'll hear, because they don't know, and they do need to know, and they appreciate people giving them facts instead of all this misinformation that they're hearing, which is why it's so critically important what you're doing with your message. I'm glad to be THC free, and going out there and saying, hey, most people are not using. Find your 2/3. That's fantastic. And when they say, I'm using and I think I have a problem, that's like, wow, that's the real ones that you don't expect, because you know you kind of think you're getting the ones on the fence and the ones who haven't used, but the ones that you actually change their minds, like
Mhm.
that's really hard to do. What are you finding in your experience? How do you get someone to change their mind? Like you talked about befriending them, meeting them where they're at,
Right.
you know, spending time with them, but is there a way to get someone to stop?
Yeah. So, I mean, how I see it is you have to plant that seed. A lot, like I said, like at the beginning, sometimes it just takes a really long time. But if for me, like if I'm the only one talking about this in their life, but they hear something totally different from other people, the like that's what I want to be. I want to be that light, and maybe one day they'll see it. And I've seen like that does happen. I have had quite a few friends come up to me and say, Hannah, thank you so much. Like I know this was years ago, but you really like opened my eyes to what this was doing. And that is the most rewarding. And that honestly
Yeah.
keeps me going and pushes me forward. But it can be very defeating because you are going to come across people that are like, you're crazy. Like this is so far from the truth.
Paper madness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 That is hard. Like I still have a hard time dealing with that every day. But then I mean, those success stories make it worth it.
I agree. I agree. Okay, let's see what else we have here. No questions, but thank you, Hannah. Amazing presentation and insight. Amazing talk. This is wonderful. Great presentation, Hannah. We had a few teams on this call who
Oh,
will be presenting the tag team presentation soon. Oh, good. I'm so happy. And so for those of you who don't know about the tag team, teen ambassador groups, Johnny's Ambassadors has started tag teams. You need an adult sponsor and your teen leaders, prevention club, leadership council, whatever you want. And we give you curriculum very similar for our certified trainers that is age appropriate for middle and high school. And your adult sponsor works with you to learn the material and go into your community, into your schools, into your high school, middle school, and give assemblies. So if you want to sign up for that, johnnysambassadors.org/tag team, TAGTEAM, tag team. So thank you for that and for having a tag team. Will the slides be available? Everybody will get a copy of this 24 hours after automatically from GoToWebinar. Let's see, Hannah, thank you for giving hope to the rest of us for your generation. And are you building an army of like-minded peers? Are you having success in people from in recovery long term? So what are you doing in this area? How do we build this army? I mean, we have what, 13,000 Johnny's Ambassadors, but not most of them are your age.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So what do we do? Tell us, how do we reach people like you so that we can build our little mini army?
Oh, well, this is definitely something that I've been trying to figure out on my own. Again, like you said, you have so many people on your community board, and that is amazing. And I've connected to people on there, and I think it goes by conversation. I will talk to people about this, and if you talk about it enough, you start to find people. And even like a few weeks ago, I got connected to another girl who's out in California, and I'm connecting with her this week just to like talk about things and kind of see how we can work together. You never really know, like, even though we live so far apart, I've met people that live that far apart and we still support each other. And yeah, so I think conversations and just, yeah, trying to find people out there, but I'm trying to get better about that.
I know it's so hard. We have, Instagram, and we've hired influencers. So we invite everyone to go to Instagram and click on Reels, and you'll just see some of the young people who are working with us to try to influence others. We invite people after every school assembly to follow us on Instagram and become an ambassador. And we have like 1,900 teens now, Hannah.
Oh my gosh, that
I
is so amazing.
it's so exciting just to see. I mean, and they hit share on their stories, and I'm like, this is what. But it's usually they're sharing people your age, right? They're their THC free videos, not mine. That's okay. I want to hurt feelings. But I think by them creating it, that peer-to-peer connection, I think is really powerful. And, you know, having someone your age go in and talk to them, you know, it's just different. You know, Johnny's story is very impactful because they go, wow, you know, he was just like me. So I can weave that through. But someone with your impact, your background, your personal experience of friends, you know, who used and your age, you're just going to have just a wonderful peer-to-peer connection
Yeah.
with.
And just to like circle back on that question too, I just want to say, like, please, if you want to connect with me, reach out to Laura.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure people will be trying to find out what they can do to get in touch with you and bring you in.
I love talking to people. I would love to support you in any way I can. And also just like when talking about sharing, like that is a huge thing because I know that can be so hard to share these things online because like I said, I received a lot of backlash, but never lose your voice and never stop fighting.
You know, there always are going to be haters. I get hate mail every day, Hannah. And you know, the best thing I learned was delete, block, next. You know, just
Sure.
it just now it just is water off my back. And it's hard at first when people say mean things, since it's like you don't know me. You know, that's
Right.
not true. And I would get ruffled. But today I'm like, you know what? I'm not trying to reach that person. I'm trying to prevent trying this stuff. It's just, you know, keeping them focused. I just block them, delete them, move on. But I know what you mean because it's like, you know, it's hurtful when people say that. And so someone's encouraging you. She's saying, I work at the Boys and Girls Club. And I think letting the teens hear your talk will be so much more impactful than just me talking. So,
Oh,
yes, and you will. Everybody will get the recording, and absolutely feel free to share Hannah's talk. Let's see. Oh, okay. Coming back to Patrick Kennedy in Illinois, she says you can be so helpful to him in his efforts. So she wants to encourage you there. Question: what was more impactful for you in high school to learn and to be inspired to make an impact? Was it talking with other teens, seeing people you knew dealing with this addiction, videos? Like, what was it that really made that just lit the fire for you? She says, I want to make a difference and I want to get through to these teens and middle schoolers, but I'm not sure how to reach them.
yeah. Oh, well, for me in high school, like it was for sure like seeing it change people's lives. Like that was it for me. That set me off and I just jumped into how can I help? I wanted to do anything I could do to help. And I mean, it is really hard to reach them. And like I said, like you have to meet them where they're at and just have those conversations and offer alternatives. Like that's what I did in high school. I tried to find other things to do. We had like a post prom after prom, and one year I got like a water park rented out and we all went to the water park, and just like something that makes not doing anything seem better.
Yeah, I love that. And trying to figure out how to maybe start a club or, you know, what would it look like to have a THC free club, you know, and do other things. Sometimes there's just nothing to do. And if you can be that person that can provide those fun opportunities in your community, maybe that's something that people can latch onto also.
I would for sure. I think a club is such a good idea because, I mean, one thing on the side, it goes on the resume. You can say like, oh, I was a part of this club and I did a lot in the community. And it's like such a great way to give back. And you can build community that way, like get other people in the club. We sign something saying like, we're not going to smoke or drink. And it's just like, it's simple, but you can really pick it up and do fun activities outside of school and have meetings and figure out ways to try to make a difference.
Well, maybe you and I we'll write that up together,
Yeah.
Hannah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I do.
I think that would be so fun. We
Yeah.
could have a Glad to Be a THC free club, and you and I can write kind of guidelines, ideas, and a process, and put it out there. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in. Okay. All right. Well, So we are out of time, and everyone is saying, let's see, great presentation, Hannah, great presentation, Hannah. You are an inspiration. Thank you for the presentation and great idea. Got one on the end. So really, thank you, Hannah, for the gift of your time, your enthusiasm, your talent, your passion, and we are so grateful to have you as one of Johnny's ambassadors. Thank you for helping us celebrate Stop Dabbing Day. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Yep, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining.
Take care. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.